the answer. If we want to preserve our constitutional republic, we need an informed and educated citizenry. And that's what this show is all about. Find out what's really happening. It's time to stop the lies and learn the truth. This is The Real Story with your host, Jeanne Ives.
Okay, welcome back to the second hour of The Real Story with Jeanne Ives. I've got two of my favorites in with me. They're going to be regulars on this program, by the way, because there's so much to discuss about what goes on at local government. There are local government experts. If you've got a question for them, they'd love to take it. 312-642-5600. But they also have a command or a request of you as well. And oh, by the way, Kevin and Jim, I know you're waiting on the line to call. We're kind of off those topics right now. We're not really on them. So if you have something different you want to talk about, go ahead and call back. We'll get to your calls as well. 312-642-5600. So let's go. First of all, we have the Edgar County Watchdogs. That's who I'm talking about. They're in tonight. We've got about three different topics we want to cover in the next two segments. So Kirk, though, you had a request from people. What did you want to tell them?
You bet. Thanks for having us on, Jeannie. Over the years, we've gone to public meetings and nobody shows up. And then when we start writing about things and start exposing malfeasance that's being, we expose it because they refuse to fix things. And then people start to show up and they start to get engaged. It's interesting to watch what's happened here in Shelby County or downstate in Shelby County. We have a lot of people coming to a meeting, which is great. And they have the most liberal public comment policy of any place I've ever seen in the state. And they get up there and they
liberal
speak.
Meaning forgiving.
Oh, like you have 5 full minutes, and anyone can give their 5 minutes to you. So you could have as much as 10 minutes, and there's no limit in the total time for public comment.
It's great.
It's phenomenal. And these folks are truly trying to focus on that. But my question to the public, we're looking for ideas. We hear people come up and speak, and some of the things they say has absolutely no foundation in law at all. They've not even read some of the basic laws, and everybody gets riled up based on what a person says because they think it's true, and then we're the bad guy for exposing that, no, you're completely wrong, and it's not trying to be offensive. And one of the things, I have to apologize to them because my defense mechanism is to chuckle when I hear such silly statements. It's not laughing at them, it's laughing at the silliness of what they said. I fully respect their right to speak, but some of the things, I just don't know how we get people to actually read and comprehend how the law applies to the subject matter at hand. So if anybody's got any ideas on what mechanism could trigger people to actually read the law and understand it, we're all ears.
Well, and you're willing to train people. So you have a training coming up sometime in Dalton in August, is right?
You bet.
Okay, so you'll give us that information. We can share it with people if they want to attend, because you use basically just the tools of FOIA and OMA to do a lot of your investigation. But you also just trained yourself. You had your own situations, your own problems. You started reading the law and saying, well, you're breaking the law here. You're not doing it right here. And you just started holding them accountable. And sure enough, 500, 600 people later that you have forced out of office because they weren't following the law.
And I think another side of that is not just those who left. We have people now that are actually following the law, and they're reading the law to a degree, the public officials. Now we have to get the public engaged to read it. Now, those folks in Shelby County, they're problem solvers, and I know some folks locally, because of the false narratives being pushed out there, don't see that. But what is down there right now is truly a leadership example for the rest of the state. If they would just calm down and actually get to the truth of what those people are really doing behind the scenes. They have no idea how much better off they are now than they were 5 years ago.
Okay, so what's our topic tonight, guys?
John?
Well, we could talk about electioneering.
How about that? Great.
Yes. Electioneering is using public time, resources, equipment for the non-public purpose of campaign related, or even simply to advocate for the passing of a referendum. Most recent example is in Hinsdale.
Hinsdale. That's DuPage County. Yep.
Yeah, state senator.
I can't remember her name.
Susie Glowiak.
Glowiak Hilton. She's got like the two last names.
Oh, that was the fire truck senator.
Yeah, she Hinsdale Fire Department, in cooperation with the village manager and assistant manager and the fire chief and the senator. The senator brought her own banner and draped her banner all over the front of the fire truck for the 4th of July parade. Rode in the parade in the truck. That's electioneering. It's using public resources for a non-public purpose.
Well, that guy that ran for governor did that. What's the problem?
Yeah,
What was his name?
We'll
Sullivan?
we'll talk about him in a minute.
Oh, Jesse Sullivan did that? Okay, well, we'll
But
talk. So there's all sorts of forms of electioneering. So she brings her banner to the parade. The firefighters they're thrilled that they like her because she's pro-union. She'll vote for anything that they want. And they put her banner on the truck, on the public property, and put her on the public property and parade her around downtown Hinsdale
during the 4th of July parade.
Yeah, that's I have a problem with that.
David
Giuliani
David Giuliani from the Patch wrote an article on it, and he sent a Freedom of Information Act request to the village of Hinsdale for certain keywords, and what came back was my request for a comment from the village
That they never commented on?
And the fire chief sent it to the village manager asking what comment to provide, and the village manager said none.
So they don't want to respond to this obvious electioneering, but maybe because the mayor's name was on a ladder truck at the same time in the same parade.
Correct.
Now, in the Patch article, Giuliani asks, Village President Tom Cawley said, Hilton helped the village get money for the fire truck. We're not a partisan community, Cawley said. We recognized her help. Meanwhile, the mayor's name's on the ladder truck. Did he help buy the ladder truck?
I'm sure the taxpayers helped also. All of them get to ride in there.
It doesn't matter. It's still wrong. You can't put your name like that as a politician. I don't care. And help. Okay, this is obviously because she's a state legislator, a state senator.
Yeah.
This is state money going to wealthy Hinsdale, one of the wealthiest communities in our state, to help them buy a fire truck.
Yes.
And she's getting applauded by the union firefighters for doing so, and she's getting all this, free publicity.
I think that falls under the state officials and employees ethics act. But
yep.
Okay, so then tell us about another electioneering case, the one down in Dalton. I find this one really interesting.
Well, before we get to
okay.
Yeah, there is one in Dalton. This one, it was a Cook County judge, Renee Jackson, and Supervisor Tiffany Henyard of Thornton Township. There's a thing that Henyard calls Township Talk with Supervisor Tiffany Henyard, and all they did was electioneer for Henyard's people, the people that Henyard wanted to be elected in the village of Dalton as trustees. And Judge Renee Jackson. Judge Jackson even told him what holes to punch at the election for her during a township public event. That is electioneering. You can't have an official event.
Does the judge read the law?
Well, that's questionable at this point, but you can't sit there and go to a public event financed by public tax dollars and electioneer with it. You can't do it. It's against the law.
Well, I mean, let's remind people, Tiffany Henyard is the $270,000 a year Thornton Township supervisor, but she's also the mayor of Dalton, for which she gets money as well.
Yeah.
But what we hear, what you just said is against the law. Well, you're not a lawyer.
It doesn't matter. I know speeding is against the law. So is drunk driving.
Okay, before we close out the segment, I'm going to play. This is part of Tiffany Henyard's election. It's actually an election commercial, part of it. And it's, I think, filmed, because you showed it to me. It looks like it's filmed in her official offices. Is that correct?
Yes.
But this would also be electioneering, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so take a listen to this. This is Tiffany, $270,000 a year, township supervisor, plus her Dalton income, plus perks, medical care. Listen to this.
Nobody helping me. So just imagine what I could do and will do with a board that will help me. But remember one thing, there is an election come February 2023. Make sure y'all go to the ballots and help me with the new board of trustees that I will have running to remove the people that have kept us gridlocked for so long.
Okay, so she runs that commercial in her official offices. Electioneering.
And I can't prove it, but I would guarantee the person that videotaped that was getting paid by the Thornton Township taxpayers.
which we've seen before.
Okay. All right. So I'm holding you guys over. What are we going to talk about in our next segment? Let's let people know.
Well, we're going to finish up electioneering, and Illinois former state representative, or former state senator Sam McCann.
Oh, this is
and
a
his
good
upcoming
story
trial.
because I was in that election cycle when he ran for governor in 2018.
Oh, that's a good one.
This is a doozy. All right.
The best conversations. Jeanne Ives.
Okay, welcome back. Round two with the Tiger County Watchdogs, John Kraft and Kirk Allen. We were going to continue discussing a little bit electioneering. So, John, you wanted to say something more about the Dalton Township mayor?
Yeah, she keeps touting that she was elected by 82% vote, but it was actually 82% of a 10.9% voter turnout.
Well, you know.
Which makes a big difference.
Other
examples. Other examples. We had a regional office of education superintendent candidate who used his email account as a school superintendent to electioneer on his email account, and then he stored his campaign signs in the main office of the Chrisman School District.
Well, what's wrong with that? He didn't want to buy a storage unit, and his wife didn't want it in the basement or something, I guess.
It's amazing the pictures people send you when they don't agree with electioneering.
Yeah, so by the way, these guys get these through tips. So you can go to illinoisleaks.com and you can put in your own tip. These folks will check it out for you.
Kirk's got the final.
Yeah,
electioneering.
the last gubernatorial race, the Jesse Sullivan issue. It's amazing when you contact these campaigns to get a comment, some type of justification for what they're doing, and they never answer you, even when you laid out exactly what they did. And what's ironic in this one, they were using police vehicles and other sheriffs and officers in uniform in their commercials, but they included warning lights for their campaign. They're driving down the road with warning lights. They're in the car. I've got a guy in Coles County, as a prank, turned on the ambulance lights to an ambulance sitting in a parking lot, another EMS service. And it's a prank that we've done for years to each other when you leave your rig unlocked. You never leave your rig unlocked. If you do, we turn up the heat, turn the radio full blast, and turn on the lights. They gave him a ticket for using lights in a non-emergency. Yet we have people running for governor that do this with public property and don't think a thing of it.
And I blame the sheriffs.
Oh, absolutely. And there were numerous sheriffs that were involved in this.
The sheriff should have known better.
They should write their own tickets to themselves.
Right. And this happens all the time, every election cycle. And until we get state's attorneys that are willing to prosecute, this stuff will continue.
So much crime goes unprosecuted.
Absolutely.
So much of it. And, the little stuff adds up to big stuff. And that brings us to Sam McCann. Now, Sam McCann ran for governor under the Conservative Party label after Rauner won the primary. He's like, well, we need to make sure Pritzker gets elected. This was a diversion, really, more than anything. This was to make sure Rauner didn't get elected. So he got a bunch of money. Like, he got $1 to $2 million from all these unions. All these unions, they paid Sam McCann to run under the Conservative Party label just to take votes from Rauner. He was going to lose anyway. I don't know why the hell they wasted their time. But Sam McCann treated it like his own piggy bank, didn't he?
Apparently
Yeah,
so.
and
So tell us what's going on.
prior to that, in 2016, we busted him and a state representative out for taking illegal campaign donations from a public hospital district. I believe it was in Jacksonville or Jersey County. It was actually a Jersey County hospital, but it's a public hospital district. We busted McCann out and a state representative. I'm not going to name because the state representative read the article, read our email, and immediately cut a check back to the Jersey County Hospital. Sam McCann didn't do that. I don't know if he's ever done that. I do know whoever was managing the hospital district told me and personally showed me a check that he wrote back to the hospital on behalf of that contribution. I don't understand why McCann mentioned in a newspaper article that, well, he didn't know it was illegal for a public hospital to give a donation or something.
And you found the same thing with universities. I mean, how many different universities have we seen donated university taxpayer dollars to a campaign?
Yeah, SIU donated to a PAC, and I called him on it, and within like 2 hours, he showed me where they got a check returned to the university for the exact amount.
This guy's in a boatload of trouble. I mean, he was basically indicted a couple of years ago. He had delay after delay after delay. He had to take a public defender because he said he couldn't afford his own.
Yep.
He's had a change in that status, I think, 3 times. And finally, he's supposed to be coming into a trial, I think, sometime in September.
Yep.
I suspect he takes a plea deal. But this stuff is pretty alarming. And, I mean, this is from the Macoupin County Inquirer Democrat, the use of more than $60,000 of campaign funds to partially fund the purchases of a 2017 Ford and a 2018 Ford truck, both of which were titled in his own name and used for personal travel. Campaign funds were used for loan repayments on the truck, fuel, insurance expenses on both vehicles. Apparently, he allegedly used campaign funds to reimburse mileage expense claims that he didn't incur. He paid for school expenses. He bought a $25,000 motorhome.
Yeah,
motorhome
and an $18,000 recreational travel trailer, both titled in his personal name.
Isn't this similar to what Frank Montino did?
And this is Frank Montino,
right?
And
our Auditor General now,
right?
And he signed all that equipment up to an online recreational rental business in Ohio and listed the vehicles for rent under his name, and rented them out, and took the cash personally for the vehicles that the campaign purchased.
Wasn't it upwards of total of like $5 million? I don't remember the hard number, but I thought it was in the millions.
It's definitely in the millions. But I mean, I pulled the campaign fund from his governor's race, and I looked at who gave him money. And the Engineers Political Education Committee, a separate education fund from Washington, D.C., $300,000, $200,000, another $50,000. And then this, of course, Local 150, $50,000. And then this Fight Back Fund, which was only a union-generated fund. So that was their own fund. A bunch of unions dumped money into it. I mean, you're talking, $175,000. A month later, $125,000. $600,000 from these people. $265,000, $200,000, $275,000. It just goes on and on. It's nauseating. I mean, these Democrats, and Sam ostensibly was a Republican, but really he ran on a Democrat platform. It was all union all the time. That's the only thing. And they own the state. They're corrupt as hell, in my opinion. And they all these folks that take money from them, it's they decry money in politics, and then they fund people like Sam McCann.
The sad part of this, who is prosecuting him? The feds.
Oh, that's right. Where's Kwame?
Yep. Thank you.
Where's Kwame?
Why is it
before Kwame? But it should have happened in the state.
Why is it's always the feds coming in to clean up the garbage that goes on in Illinois politics and Illinois corruption? Where are the local authorities to hold these people accountable?
Well, I mean, I'll tell you what. Up here in the Chicago area, though, they're replacing John Lausch with this with the former ethics officer for Kim Fox, who was the ethics officer during the Jussie Smollett sort of thing, and she's going to be now the federal prosecutor. So, how much work's going to get done there?
Wow, you can't make it up.
We talked about that story last week. No, you can't make it up. So, I mean, this is just. I'll tell you what, but you find it everywhere.
Everywhere we go.
You guys, everywhere you go, say, what do you tell people? Go to the meeting, you'll find something.
And, just the other day, we put the article up yesterday, an individual jumps on social media, that's the town square for all the news, jumps on social media and and tells the world, anybody that comes into Moultrie County, and helps us, I will make your life absolute hell. Now, he announces that to everybody, and I'm sitting here thinking, does he hear himself? People want things fixed. And although this individual may not agree with what we do or how we do it, he's yet to prove us wrong without completely twisting a narrative. And they will never sit down and have an intellectual conversation face to face.
So what's the penalty for electioneering? How do we fix what happened in,
Therein lies
Dalton?
part of the problem that we dealt with Montino. It takes a formal complaint. It's got to go through the State Board of Elections. They lawyer up. Well, if you're the one filing the complaint, are you representing yourself? Do you have a lawyer? Do you have the funding? The mechanism to fix this is so complicated. It is for the average Joe. Now, we've been through it before. We understand it. But if you've never been through it, it's overwhelming.
There's one thing to fix it. And you guys say, we just want the problem fixed and stopped. Not me. I want these people to pay for their problems.
A good prosecutor could probably charge them with official misconduct and a felony violation of the Constitution for use of public property. But that's never going to happen.
All right. Well, we got to leave it there. Thank you guys so much for coming in, and we will see you next week. Same
Thank you.
time. All right.